butter in it.
Sure, there's nothing else up top to undo.
Yeah, I mean, other than the, so there's stuff on the side.
Yeah.
And then there's the three plugs right here, and then it should be okay. Yeah, in theory we could slide it over.
I'm wondering if it's an integrated controller as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yes,
so,
absolutely it is.
So this is, so the battery's in the carbon tub.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 mil.
Yeah, it's an 8 mil.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, is it
Because there's
these 8 mils on the side here? Those 8 mils on the side, and then those.
If you take those off, it'd probably
I think it's this guy. These guys.
I think we take the main ones off up top. Yeah.
Yeah.
slides out like a Nintendo cartridge.
Maybe. Okay. Let's start with that. There's some back here, and there's some in the back here too.
Okay. So we should probably don our high voltage gloves.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's time. Rubber up. Always wear your rubbers. Well,
Nah.
for this.
Rich knows the game. Yeah.
Okay, for
Yeah.
this, you should wear them.
For this, yeah.
Let's safety first.
Yeah. Safety thirst.
I was gonna say third, but it's your channel. I can't say that.
Safety thirst.
Safety
That's-
first.
Safety thirst.
Thirst is trash.
Okay.
Don't do that first.
That looked tasty.
And we're
Get a little
developing.
closer.
Yeah,
It's
So that's coming out of the engine.
Is that normal?
that's an oil line.
Yeah.
that's clear.
That's a cool oil pan, bro. McLaren is so ahead of the game. They
Oh yeah,
really are.
it's coming out of me like lava.
This will turn into oil at some point, I think.
Actually,
The viscosity's
yeah.
not quite there.
I feel like she may not have been, ready to start
No.
right off the bat.
Not just yet.
There it is.
Oh, there's the oil.
there it is. Still has water in it.
Boom.
What's wrong, Freddie? Get.
I took off
Did it get in your eye?
Yep, I took off a coolant line. It sort of went everywhere. The thing that I tell you about coolant is that it has a bittering agent, and it tastes real bad.
That smells awful. That smells like an outhouse in here.
Fish in the...
Yep.
Quite a bit of water.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
It's good for turbos.
The very first phase wire is coming out.
Okay.
There she comes.
This took 1 hour.
Look at this.
That took more than 1 hour.
Look at
more than an hour.
look at how
Every phase.
incorrect this is.
How incorrect.
Seriously.
This is unnecessary.
So this is what was making that sound right
Yep,
there.
yes.
Yeah.
That little
It was
color.
scaring us.
So just for safe measure, we always tape the ends of the phase wires up.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
This is bro bonding. Look at this bro bonding.
Look at that.
Hey! Hey!
Can't see. Yay!
You want to do the honors? Your rappy rap?
I hope you guys like having no sleep, because that's what's gonna happen.
We're going to leave right from go to the airport.
We're just gonna go from the airport.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, I mean, half hour from now. What time is it?
9:30.
Okay, so half hour to be 10. Another hour and a half. Yeah,
Nah, let's factor in 3 hours for the battery.
yeah.
Officially the 8th hour from when we pushed it to this.
Hey!
That's it.
I can slip pull.
You can take it up. Be careful. Oh, look at him. Look at him.
There it is.
Look at him.
Safe.
Look what they did to my boy.
Look, we're marked safe from the P1.
We're more safe. All right, we're not out of the woods yet because
Yeah.
the battery. Could
Battery's still gonna come out.
Yeah, battery still has to come out and it could be live, so we need to get that out ASAP. So that should only take another 6 or 8 hours.
Just to let everyone know, we are in the 8th hour. We've taken out the fuel tank so far.
It's a really
That's
serviceable
yeah.
car to work with. Honestly.
$2 million.
$2 mil, baby.
$2 million.
$2 mil.
I mean, 500.
And how many people are certified to work on this? So if just because you're certified
3
McLaren,
more now.
Exactly. You're welcome, McLaren.
Wait,
Call
this
us.
makes us certified?
Call us.
Yep.
We're near Orlando, right? So what we should do is we should free the orcas from SeaWorld. They need to be free.
Are you recreating the plot of Free Willy?
I am. You know, that wasn't real. That was a movie. This is real life. This is real. We're gonna do it.
Weighs 16,000 pounds.
That's it.
So
Can you get the time? Yeah, just to let you know. Shit. You know, so
I feel like the Hellcat could pull that.
Yeah.
yeah, you're Hellcat. Sure, let's do
Yeah.
red eye, right?
We could do the same thing they did on Fast and the Furious when they broke in the bank and then they had 2 Hellcat.
Yeah.
I think.
So we'll put a ratchet strap on one end of the orca,
Right.
and then just pull
What
it.
if we tear it down?
No. We just pull it throughout the street, and then it'll slide into things.
Cat pulling a whale, man. You know, honestly.
Just a giant red streak on the. It's a screaming orca being tortured.
Imagine your insurance
Buddy,
company.
you're ruining this.
No! Welcome everyone to hour 96 of removing this battery. Oh, wow, that's good. That's the relief that I feel when.
Did you just poop?
You know what, I didn't, but it kind of feels like I did.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're gonna take this. I believe we're gonna take some of this off. So I have to take off this cloth little dapper thing. Okay, that's good. And we move this down. That way we can gain access to the bolts in the front. And now, my guidance counselor said I'd never amount to anything in life. Yeah, if they're so smart, why aren't they under a P1 right
You know
now?
what they're doing? They're probably in the McLaren films.
Hi, my name is Alina, and I would like you to give you a few reasons why you should consider dating a young.
Can you put it down my pants, please?
You want it down your pants?
Did I say that? I'm sorry.
You want me to heat it up
I meant-
first, or?
Actually,
All right, Tony. Tony, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Aurora, Kentucky, which is in the western part of the state near the Tennessee River on Kentucky Lake.
Tell me about your childhood growing up.
Well, single, only child. My father was an only child. My mother had 7 brothers and sisters. We were just an average family. My father went to the Korean War, came back, opened up a Ashland gas station. He had other opportunities in Texas. He was a good salesman and a good organizer, but he landed in right on the river there, Tennessee River. My mother was a waitress at the state park. We were the closest home to the state park, and the state park was my playground. So the nearest home was probably a mile from ours. But I had the playground.
Sounds like an idyllic childhood.
It was a lot of fun. I wish my children could grow up like that.
But you had a run-in with somebody, an infamous
I
person.
did. In 1970, at the state park, it was Ken Lake State Park, I had a run-in with John Wayne Gacy. And well, actually, I ran into him 3 years later, too.
But so the first time you met him you were how old?
I was about a month or a couple weeks from being 15.
And what happened?
It was a typical hot August night. I was at the state park, and I'd been playing with some of the tourist kids. I'd ridden my bike across the golf course over to the park property. I was sitting in the lobby. He walks up to me, and he said, "Are you a local?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "What's there to do around here?" And he's dressed in a leisure suit, a black and brown leisure suit. I was in orange swim trunks with a towel around my neck. I said, "Do you like fishing? Do you like boating? It's a resort. It's outdoor paradise, hunting." He said, "No." And then I started to get up. He said, "What's there to do around here?" And I said, "Are you into hiking or sailing or camping?" And he said, "No." And then I started asking him questions. I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from Chicago. I'm visiting some people down here." And I said, "Where?" He said, "Jonathan Creek." Well, I knew that was about 4 hours by water, 4 hours by land. So I started to get up again, and he asked me the question again. So I went ahead and stood up, and I was starting to get annoyed. And I said, "Are you looking for liquor, or are you looking for women?" I said, "This is kind of a family-style resort." And as I started to walk off, he said, "Hey, would you like to have a beer with me?" And I said, "Sure." So we walked down to his room. It was the 6th room on the left. I knew most of the workers at the state park, but there was a new desk clerk named Ella working that night. And we had seen each other. I had the keys to some of the rooms where I could get a fresh towel if I needed it. Since my mother worked there, I was a fixture really on the property. So we go down to his room. He opens the door. It was the old-fashioned keys back then. I walk in. I take a couple of steps. He walks in behind me, and he takes his hand and he grazes my behind, my butt. And I thought, that was a little weird. I thought maybe that was a mistake. I looked to the right, which was a typical hotel room, and the bathtub was completely filled to the top with ice. And there was 2 chairs, 2 beds. The TV was in between the chairs. I took a seat at the first chair. And then he goes to a cooler and brings back a beer. It was a Wiedemann in a red, white, and black can. He hands me the beer, and then he goes over and shuts the curtains. And we were on the first floor, and my bike was parked just right outside the window, probably 30, 40 feet away. And he's closed the curtains. He walks past me. This would have been the picture glass window here. This would have been the restroom. As he goes past me, he starts talking to me, just asking me questions and, what I did, what my parents did, and things like that. And he locks the door. And now I'm starting to feel, well, that's a little weird too, because initially I thought we was going to have kind of a man-to-man conversation. I'd been around my dad had a sawdust clandestine gambling joint behind the gas station, and he'd let me hang out with all the men in there. He'd also, when I was 13, I got on my dad about not being able to mow yards because we didn't have any neighbors. And he said, "I'll take you down to the lake where all the guides come in and let you clean fish." So he told me to go in and start talking to the guides about cleaning fish. And my pitch to them was, while you're getting your boat gassed up for tomorrow and your bait, everything ready for tomorrow, I can take care of this for you. And that was kind of my little side hustle when I was 13. But anyway, back to Gacy. He seemed to start getting agitated. So I was drinking my beer. On his next trip through, he asked me if I liked sex books. And in my mind, I was thinking Playboy. And I'd only seen Playboy a few times on the back of the bus with one of my friends. He would take the Playboy from his older brother, and all of us would gather around on the back of a school bus in a rural road where we were all bumping heads trying to see the centerfold. And so he takes a suitcase out, sets it on the bed, opens it up. It's full of books. There's probably 50 or 60 magazines there. I reach over, start fanning through them, and I didn't see anything that I thought I would like. So he grabs a couple and just hands them to me. I sit back and I start thumbing through them. They're all boys. So at this time, when I'm going through the magazines, he's back in the restroom. I hear the faucet come on and off. Next time he comes out, he's got a towel wrapped around his neck. And at that time when he came out, he locks the deadbolt on the door. So now things start to, slow motion kicks in on me. I think this is not right. Something's wrong. I'm in a bad situation here. So I got the same feeling about a year before. Me and a fellow that was a friend of mine tried to swim across Kentucky Lake, which was almost a mile wide. We got halfway across and he starts to panic. I said, you got to roll over and start swimming on your back until we can get some help. And I started looking for a buoy, someplace for us to find something to float. Luckily, in a few minutes, the Border Patrol or the Lake Patrol came through and we were able to get out of there. But I had the same feeling. I was starting to panic a little bit. He comes back through and I said, hey, there's just boys in these books. And he says, I got something else you might like. So he goes to the other side of the bed, puts another suitcase up on the bed, opens it up. It's full of shackles and handcuffs and chains. And inside my mind, I'm thinking, this is bad. I got to get out of here. So I take my beer. It was about half full. I set it down to my left heel. And I said, the next time he goes to the bathroom, I'm going to take this cooler and I'm either going to throw it through the window or I'm going to move it where I can get away. So he goes in the bathroom again, and his demeanor, his eyes start to get a little squinty. He was changing. He was looking at me when he was sneering at me when he would walk by. And I'm a pretty big kid for 15, but I knew I didn't have enough. This was a powerfully built man. And so as soon as he goes in the bathroom and the faucet comes on, I grab the cooler. I take it over into the far corner, right by the window. And when he comes back out, after he'd mentioned the chains and the shackles and all that stuff, I said, do you have any snacks? And while he's looking at me, I kicked my beer over. And he acted kind of disoriented for a second. He said, no, I don't have any snacks. And I said, can I have another beer? So he looks where the cooler was. He didn't see the cooler. And he starts looking for the cooler. Well, he walks past me and around both beds, and I hit the door. And I'm unlocking the chain, I'm unlocking the deadbolt. And I open the door, and just as I step out, he grabs me. And he grabs at me. He hits me a couple of times, but I just kept backpedaling because I didn't have on a shirt for him to grab. I didn't have any shoes. So I back on out of there, walk past the desk clerk, Ella, and I get on my bike. And I'm a little shaken, but I didn't know who he was. I just figured it was some weird guy. But I'd been around enough men with my father's backroom gambling establishment that I knew that was not normal. So I get home, I go across the golf course, the dew's flying up off my bike, hit me. It was wet. I had to cross the road and go up a hill. We lived up on a hill. I had a German Shepherd named Vaughn, and Vaughn started to bark like I was a stranger till I got about halfway up the hill. Then he knew it was me, so he started whimpering. My mom opens the door. She says, where you been? I was getting ready to come looking for you. And I said, Mom, you're not going to believe what happened to me. And so I told her the whole story. My mom smoked about 3 cigarettes a day, but she backed up against the kitchen counter and lit a cigarette, and I could tell she was real concerned. And I said, this weird guy tried to trap me in his room. At first, she was just taking it in, but then she got more nervous and more nervous. She worked there. She worked at the state park, but she was a desk clerk too. Now she started as a waitress when she was young. So she said, well, I'll talk to your dad about it when he gets home. And we knew it'd be midnight before he got home. That's when all the gambling stopped. He ran the gambling from 1 in the morning, or from 1 in the afternoon to midnight, 1 in the morning. So fast forward 3 years, we still live by the park. That's still my playground. I'm working at the marina now. And I'd taken on a lot of responsibilities at the marina. I was in charge of the houseboat rentals and other things. I worked with a big Samoan guy. He was 6'4". His name was Pete. So me and Pete are setting out by the gas docks at the marina, and I went in the 5 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon shift, and I thought, well, I'm going to check the wind, see how calm the lake is. I'm going to walk to the front of the marina and see if it's white capping or if we can go water skiing when I get off. So I walk to the front of the marina, I turn the corner, and I bump into a guy. And my first reaction was, I said, excuse me. I step aside, he steps aside, and it was him. Now I'm almost 18 now. And I said, hey, do you remember me? And he said, no, I don't remember you. And I said, you're from Chicago. I said, you remember me? And he said, no, I don't. Well, I was kind of full of piss and vinegar at that age, so I kind of went chest to chest with him. I said, yes, you do. I'm not 14 anymore. I was almost 15. And by that time, my boss walks out, Mr. Wilhelm, and he says, everything okay? So we went our separate ways. Then I guess it's 78, December 78. I'm older now. I'm driving. A lot of the kids I went to school, high school and college with in that part of the country had moved to Nashville. I'd been in Nashville partying. We had closed down some bars in Printer's Alley, which was a big section of Nashville, Tennessee. I was hungover. I was hungry. It was December 23rd, I believe. So I started home. I went by Rivergate Mall. I was going to get a present for my mom and dad, and I ended up getting them one of those boxes of cheese and salami and all that stuff. So I walked to have it wrapped. There was a bunch of ladies on the horseshoe tables out in the intersection of the mall wrapping gifts. I set the gift up on the table, and I sat down and I looked behind them. I see this row of newspapers. And I don't know if it was my brain kicked in before my eyes kicked in, but as I'm staring at these newspapers, I couldn't really see the headlines, but I could see this guy's face. And I started getting cold chills. So I got up, walked over there, and every step I was saying to myself, that's the guy. That's the guy that tried to trap me in the hotel room. That's the guy I ran into at the marina 4 years later. So I get home, and I was telling my mom, I didn't live at home then, but I stopped by the house to tell my mom the story. She said, well, I'm going to call the Chicago Police Department. I said, don't do that, Mom. I said, what's the use of it? Well, she did it anyway. So she called the Chicago Police Department. She didn't know that the Chicago Police Department didn't have they didn't really have the case. They had no jurisdiction. It was the Cook County Sheriff who had the jurisdiction. And this police officer said, he kind of blew my mom off. He said, ma'am, do you think we really need someone's help, a lady's help in Kentucky when we got all these bodies under this guy's house? So she said, well, I just wanted you to make a report. So he took her name, took my name, put the date on it. And we kind of forgot about it. Then in, I guess, 96 or 97, a detective from the Cook County Sheriff called me. He wanted me to tell him the story, so I did. He would just ask me questions, but he wouldn't really give me any feedback, so I told him the story. Then in 2007, a reporter from the Chicago Tribune called me, and he had a lot of knowledge. He had more knowledge. Of course, he had the benefit of being after the fact. But he said, I want to talk to you about this encounter. So we talked about it. We talked for 45 minutes. And he said he believed, and I do too now, that Gacy cruised the Dells of Wisconsin, Lake Geneva, Lake of the Ozarks, and Kentucky Lake. And he said they have a lot of what they call drownings, but he don't believe they were drownings. He believed these young men were killed. So we kind of parted. He said he'd get back in touch with me, and he asked me if I wanted to talk to him again, to call him. I never did. This never really bothered me. It still don't bother me, but until I got to be 50, 55 years old, then I started thinking about it. And I probably told 20 people about it. And I was relaying it to my son, and he said, well, you should write it down. So I did. I wrote it down. I think the reason, though, that I got away from this guy was because my mom and dad just let me, I had unlimited freedom. And a lot of fathers in a back room, wasn't hardly as big as this room, but when you got gambling and poker and dice and drinking, and I was 5 or 6 years old, and my dad would let me walk around in there, and I'd hear guys cussing, and I'd hear you hear everything. My dad never covered my ears. And this place was like, the lake at that time was a boom town because Interstate 24 hadn't come in. So everyone traveling north to south would pass through where my dad had his business, and there was an airport behind it. And my dad, when he got home from the Korean War, he wanted to have fun. And my grandmother said he's going to dedicate the rest of his life to having fun because his ship was shot a couple times. Wonsan Harbor. Men around him died. He told my grandmother he was going to work, but he was going to have fun. He turned down a couple of jobs in Houston with oil companies, and that's really the reason he leaned towards, opening up an Ashland Oil gas station. So my dad had a couple of mechanics that really ran the gas station. He worked in the back room. Their names were Scroggs and Jamer. They were Kentucky boys, country boys, could fix anything, could make anything. I'm 5 or 6 years old. I'm hanging out in the gas station, and for a couple of months, I'd been asking them to make me a go-kart or make me a mini bike. Well, they did. They made me a mini bike. And this was near a place called Golden Pond, and the Treasury and Revenue agents named it the Golden Pond because every time the whiskey stills would get crushed by the feds, they said the whiskey would roll down the mountains and form a golden pond. So that's how it got its name. I'm behind the gas station. I'm across the airport riding this mini bike, and I start up a trail. And I'd seen these guys come and go at the gas station. And I knew, because a big part of my dad's business was putting bladders in these cars, putting extra shocks on these cars. He didn't do it, but the guys working for him did, because they were hauling whiskey to Evansville, to Cincinnati, to Nashville. And there was a couple of guys that kind of stood out as haulers. They'd make sure their cars was clean because they didn't want to look like they were coming from the back roads. So there was one guy in particular, his name was Scooper, and he was kind of a James Dean looking character. So I'm riding my mini bike. I go up this mountain on this trail. It had a lot of power too. It was a custom made bike. A deer jumps out in front of me, and I kind of crashed. I just kind of went over. As I went over, there was a mound. I could hear these men arguing, and they were arguing in a whiskey still. And so I looked at them, and I thought, oh, that's just guys making whiskey. And here I'm 6 years old, but I know what's going on. I go back to my mini bike, and then I hear a fight break out between these guys, and I hear a guy let out a wail. And I thought I recognized one of the guys as one of the drivers that used to drive the whiskey. And I didn't know what had happened to the guy. So I get back to the station. I didn't mention it to my dad. Just another incident of men gathered.
Ariana,
Hello.
look who's back. Where have you been?
Helen back, but mostly San Fernando Valley, El Monte, El Sereno, Whittier, Compton, Long Beach, anywhere. I just keep it moving, you know?
What's been going on in your life?
Well, had to take a deep breath for that one. A lot of negativity, you know. Dealing with my homelessness, I've been getting jacked for all my stuff, like, you know, literally my purse worth of stuff, cell phones, all my clothes, the only things I had on my back. On a daily basis, it's like, you know, I have to, you know, re-up on the stuff that I lost. But it's only materialistic, but as a female, it means a lot to me because I chose that stuff. You know, it was my birthday stuff, too. My birthday's coming up April 14. I'll be 29. So I read up on like jewelry, hygiene and stuff. So I don't know, I guess, you know, doing with the gear that I get, like, you know, expensive brands, people scope it out and then like end up jacking me for it.
Are you still using?
On and off, yeah,
Crystal meth?
pretty much, yeah.
You seem more
Relaxed.
relaxed now than you were last time.
Well, like I said, the jokes are over. It's not immaturity. It's like I said, I'd rather take, you know, life as a joke. But this time it wasn't a joke. This time I ended up getting really badly hurt, and I got beat up again. And he beat me very bad, you know, just for a cell phone too. And I literally had like a black eye with the green and purple, busted lip, and it was so traumatizing. I was gonna commit suicide that day. And someone walked into my suicide scene and stopped me. His name was Matthew, and said, "What are you doing?" And it's just that me and the guy had, you know, something going on, and just I was lying on the shower floor, just rubbing myself up and down, like, you know, couldn't feel myself, you know, feel dirty enough that his filthy hands were all over me the day before of. And then he just tripped after smoking that fentanyl crap, and then he just beat me up for my phone. And it was just like every time I looked in the mirror and I seen my black eye in my face, I just got flashbacks, and I just couldn't bear with it anymore. I was trying to commit suicide. I was gonna, if it wasn't for my friend Matthew to walk in, I probably would have been laid out with my wrists open. And it was just, you know, I don't know how guys can put their hands on women. Mind you, I'm pregnant, but a lot of people think I'm lying. I already tested, and the 2 lines come up now. I'm 3 months pregnant from a dude in San Fernando.
Who's the father?
Jose,
The guy that hit
some
you?
Mexican guy from Oaxaca, Mexico, in the Portinia Center, homeless encampment in San Fernando, in Northridge, actually.
Not the guy that hit you.
Not the guy that hit me. The guy that hit me was actually my enemy, and like I said, yeah, that bad that I kicked it with my enemy. I should have known I was playing with fire again. And I was just vulnerable at the time, and I didn't have nowhere to go. So I skipped on and, you know, got into an Uber, kicked it with him in an apartment building, and he smoked that crap and then just tripped on me. But yeah, yesterday I was actually crying just down the road right here because there was this guy who was going to kick it with me, and then he says, "Well, you're not giving up the pussy, so what's up?" You know? And I was like, how disrespectful is that? You know, only because you don't give up, you know, you're one of, you know, he should have told me what it was and what it wasn't, you know. I thought we were trying to kick it, smoke, chill, whatever. But all to him, it was just, you know, getting inside, you know, between my legs. And it sucks because, like, at times like this, when you're family, you would think that your family would try to help you, but all they say is go to rehab, go to rehab, go to rehab. To think they would try to understand you somewhat. Like, my question is, how are you supposed to grieve for someone if you just lose another one and another one and another one? And in a matter of 30 days, you lost like at least 15 individuals. I lost my grandma due to COVID. Remember the last time I came, she was alive. She died from COVID. I wasn't allowed to the funeral because my family said I was a disgrace to the family because I caused her enough hurt. And I literally cried because, like, she raised me from like 10 months born, mind you, till I was like 18. She was practically my mom. She took me in, and I couldn't go to her funeral because they said if I bothered to show up, they would call my PO and call the cops if I bothered to show up. So they told me to save myself the humiliation and the embarrassment and not to show up. And she spoke for the whole family, which is one of my aunties. And it's just like I don't even bother calling them anymore because, like, when it was the holiday, like Christmas, I called them just to say hi, hi. And she goes, Ariana, why do you keep on insisting on calling? You know you're not allowed over here on the holidays or at all, type of stuff, But last time when I was staying in a Salvation Army, it was her dropping off my Christmas presents to me. And now it's not even no Christmas presents. It's just reassure yourself you can't even show up to our house type of stuff, So it's like times like these when you feel like, well, I know I'm alone. On a daily basis, I struggle with trying to find out where I'm going to lay my head, who I'm going to run into on a bad note or on a good note. I used to be a very nice girl till all the stuff that happened to me. On a traumatization note, I'm not used to people being nice to me, So, sorry. It's like coming from in here. I'm only human. I only, shit, eat, and bleed, and cry. I can only hold it for so much longer. But yeah, when I do cry, I just can't stop because I don't cry on a normal basis. I don't like showing my weakness, And it's like someone that I know that says, you're not hard. It's all a front. He says, you're soft as a pillow type of stuff. And I'm like, ouch, Because let me tell you, I can handle an ass beating. I got chicken wing not long ago from, what was it, downtown or Burbank police. I got arrested for being under the influence of a controlled substance. And mind you, they didn't even Mirandize me. So their case goes to hell. I Googled it. I said, what if they don't Mirandize you? It says that their, pretty much their evidence is no good. It's incompetent. But I'm pregnant again, like I said, and I plan to reunite with the baby daddy just to to talk about stuff like that, because he has a little like shed that he created himself. But mind you, it has freaking like power and everything. You know how they hook up the lights and stuff. And see what he's gonna do for me. If not, look for like resources for programs. I've been trying to get into one, but I really don't want a program. I just want like my own apartment, a motel or something, not some structured program that's gonna tell me. Because mind you, I went to a program last time. It was called the Project 180, Sun Valley one. I stayed there for 5 months. I almost graduated till the COVID outbreak happened. Half of the house caught it. And I thought it was a smart idea to go use meth and run off and kill my 5 months program. And AWOL'd just to go across the street in the trailers in Sun Valley where all the drug heads kick it. But I wasn't ready to relapse then because I entered there and I seen a guy with a pipe. As soon as I seen the pipe, I said, I'm not gonna throw away my sobriety like this. And I ran out and I said I was gonna go look for a bathroom at McDonald's, and I went back to the rehab and sat there and cried for like 2 hours and they wouldn't let me in. They said, show us that you could stay sober for the next 2 days and then come back Monday and then we'll talk. And I did it and then we talked. But then again, it's like a rehab and it's full of all women. Mind you, I only kick it with just men because women and I don't get along because of my pretty face. They get jealous and insecurities about their boyfriends or their homies. They know that the attention is like not gonna be just all on them, But I can care less. I'd rather be ugly than pretty because pretty girls get it. What are good looks good for, Modeling and movies type of stuff. I'm not an actress. I'm just a homeless female out here, surviving. But I just feel like if it's not the cops, it's my enemies. And if it's not my enemies, it's me going to jail, bro. I'm going to get killed by somebody. And it's like on a daily basis, you hear news about like girls going missing and stuff, like gunshots to their head, pregnant or not. And then I have my ex-boyfriends make comments like, oh, you're going to end up just like the Brenda Paz chick. Was the MS snitch. And I'm like, wow, really? He's like, yeah, because you talk too much. You run your mouth too much type of stuff. And then it's like death. It lurks around you so much. I'm like, I'm not scared, dude. On the suicide ideations, I'm trying to make it for me and my baby. I already feel like bad. a bad mom that I can't do it for my first son because my baby daddy and I do not have a good relationship anymore. We can't even stand talking to each other. He just throws me on my, you know, but like, oh, John needs mom, you know? Are you ready to be a mom? You should go to rehab. When are you going to go to detox? Are you ready for a program? You know, just pushing me and pushing me and pushing me instead of saying, so have you thought about it? Have you considered taking a program? Are you ready? Can you at least give it a try? Type of stuff, you know, like try to, you know, boost me up there. Instead he knocks me back down, you know? And I don't know what to do anymore. I'm a good person, I really am, but I've just been through so much shit. It just sucks. My smile, like, by the end of the day, by when it turns dark, you won't see me smile until it turns light again. Because in the dark, this place in Skid Row, I almost got kidnapped out here by a paisa. I literally got a seat burnt because he yanked me when I told him I wasn't gonna give him head for $5. You know, and I've been mistaken for an informant and been held, you know, captive and stuff like that. And then, you know, I had to engage in stuff that I didn't want to. And then, you know, I'm like hurting from my private area and like bleeding and stuff like that. But, you know, who's gonna believe me type of stuff, you know? I was asking for it type of stuff. Nobody asked for it, you know what I mean? No is no, and that's that. But like I said, in my situation, people take advantage of it. And, you know, they'll be nice and be like, kick it. And then later they're like, oh, well, I smoked you out with this much. I fed you. I did this. What you got in change for me, you know? Because nothing's free in this world. You know, that's why I be careful who I kick it with. Try to make sure that it's going to be, you know, you're doing me a favor. You're going to charge me later on type of thing. But I've talked to a lot of high school friends. And apparently, like, I have more people on my back than I thought I did. You know, because I was off of social media since I got my couple cell phones robbed from me. I thought it was better to be without a cell phone, but like, let's say 3 o'clock in the morning, and then, you know, you're in certain areas and then you're being chased by certain vehicles by myself, you know? It's a scary situation. It's those moments that I start to pray and I'm like, please God, like, don't let me get, you know, hurt right now type of stuff, you know? I don't know why people do me the way they do. I'm just the way I am because of, you know, what I've been through. But I'm trying to make it out there, man. I'm still homeless, like I said. I get with people like, you know, gangbangers or paisas and stuff, and they're like so much alike. Domestically violent, they're all just physical, and it's not cool, man.
What do you think it would take for you to put down the drugs?
Some support would be great, first of all. And guidance would be a second step for that one. And 3, like, goals. You know, like a little plan, an action plan. You know, I've been in rehab. Like I said, I was there for like 5 months, but before that, I was going to D.D. Hirsch, Mental Health Services. I'm not dumb, I just do dumb things, and while I'm under the influence, half of the time, I'm not thinking of what I'm doing. I'm just acting on impulse. Because I'm mad at the world because a lot of people do me dirty and I'm trying to get even type of thing. You know? Because who steals from a person who's already in the streets, you know? And the cops look at me and they're like, you don't live in the streets, look at you, you're clean. So it's called a motel room, homie, or just boil some water in the hot pot, you know? And bird bath. Or the mobile showers, you know? But I'm upset with myself that I've let myself get the way I am. Like, looks wise, I have like pimples. I have like irritations going on with my eyes. A lot of people smoking that fentanyl stuff. I did overdose off of fentanyl again. I shot up 30 cc's of pure fentanyl, and they had to Narcan me 3 times right here in Skid Row. So my boy gave me it, and he said it was G-Funk, but it wasn't crystal meth. And I guess I died, and I don't remember anything. I honestly don't. But they said they Narcan me 3 times to bring me back. And it's like, I've had more than 9 lives So obviously, I'm here for a reason. And like I said, probably it's just to give motivation to those females that are out there doing the same thing, because I do miss the hell out of Narcotics Anonymous, you know, but I can't be like faking the funk. Like, how am I gonna sit there and just pretend to like listen to the message, but pretend that I'm sober? Because, you know, I'm not sober. And the meetings, when I would go to them, I was sober, but with the support of my baby daddy. But now that me and him are not on talking terms, and it's always, do you have some money, John? And he's like, no, Ariana, I don't. I'm at work right now. Can you like hurry up? I gotta go, type of stuff, you know?
The father of your second one is just somebody you just met?
No, I was staying with him for like a matter of months. We were in a relationship till like, he dragged me out the tent like half naked. And I had to call out for help to one of my guy friends, Diablo. And yeah, I had to call out for help. And he's like, you know what? You keep on running back to him, Mariana. I don't know what to do anymore. That's the second time I rescue you. Like, if you go back to him the next time, like, I don't want to hear you yelling, you know? So I just dipped from that spot too. And it's like, I just look for a one-woman man, and all these men out here just want to have more than 10 females. That's how STDs get caught. A lot of guys like to offend me and say that I'm some type of hoe, that I be effing everybody and their mamas, but that's not true. I bet you that I can prove an STD clean test more than half of these females out here. Because if I do my stuff, I do it with protection. No glove, no love. You know? But that's my problem. And then, like, someone yesterday made a comment, says, damn, so it didn't make it with the Southsider, so you pick a wood? I'm like, fuck. Dude, that's just so offensive. So I was kicking it, well, still am kicking it with some white boys, right? Mind you, I'm a sucker for white boys. I kick it with them. And because they're the coolest people on earth, they won't do you in. They actually have everything that, you know, you don't have, and then like, let you chill with them and not tax you later, type of stuff, you know? They'll be like, oh yeah, let's chill, you know? Don't trip, it's on me, you know, type of stuff. Not the, I'll charge you later type of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, for him to say that, oh, homegirl said it didn't work out with the Southsiders, you want to kick it with a wood. I'm like, wow, that's offensive. I'm a grown-ass woman, and I don't have to explain to nobody what I do or who I kick it with, whether the race or not, you know? I don't know what it is with racism, but that's like half of the negativity in this world, racism. And procrastination is another one. And 3, the government. Do you notice all these viruses and stuff have been going out because I think the government is honestly trying to end civilization. First the COVID virus, and then the West Nile virus, and now the freaking influenza. Like, are you serious? And then like now they're making drones and freaking robots with machines on them. Like, I don't know what the hell the government is doing. But after Joe Biden went president, it's a sick joke, you know?
Do you have any contact with your family at all?
Absolutely not. I just saved myself from that hassle because every time I do end up calling them, I end up in tears. You know, because like one time I tried to ask for my ID, and I kind of make a prank on my aunt, and I told her I was calling. Well, I told my friend to make a joke call, saying that she was calling from the morgue. And my aunt took it very, very personal. She says, I'm calling from the morgue. I'm just here to ask you to come in and identify the body. She's like, what? And then she's like, click. She's like, fuck you, Ariana. I can't do this anymore. I was like, fuck you, dude. Why did you do it? She's like, I can't do it. Call your aunt back right now and let her know that it was a joke. I'm like, no, fuck that. Let her worry. Let her worry. So my aunt's like, you think it's funny? She like literally called the cops saying that I was like missing. And then I was like, oh no. So I called her, and she's like, do you think it's funny? She's like, you think it's funny to say that you're calling from the morgue to identify your body? I'm like, but you don't care about me, right? Type of stuff. And then when it comes like that, like, if you don't fix your stuff with people and then you just let them die, that's your conscience being like, oh, I should have, you know, asked him for his forgiveness of, you know, by doing this person dirty, you know? Because when that person is gone, they're gone. Like my grandma, you know? My grandma from my mom's side also died from cancer. And then my little brother died from fentanyl. He was 25. He lived in Las Vegas. His name was Kevin Howard. Obviously, he was dealing for some fool, and he had a bunch in his sock, and it bursted, and it went through his pores. And he was 25 years old. I didn't get to meet him, but I had a very good relationship with him. I still go through the messages on my Facebook, and My Facebook is Sola Potrero, SOLA, and then Potrero is POTRERO. That's my fake name, but yeah, that's my most recent profile. And my personal people get to, hit me up on there. But yeah, I just barely got another phone thanks to my white friend. I love white people. White people are awesome. My baby daddy's white. My son's white. Come on now. Racism needs to stop sometime, because if not, like I said, I feel like there's going to be a race war one day. People always making like stupid comments like F you Mexican biatch. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like rude, and I literally got spit in the face by a black man. I only beat the black off of him. I beat him up. I swear I did. It was so disrespectful. If I had $1 for every time I bit spit on my face, it's like the most disgusting, cruelest thing ever. It's like, it's uncalled for.
Skid Row's rough.
Skid Row is rough. Life's rough, and drugs are with it too. It just keeps the gnarly and the J-Cats and the weirdos and everybody belongs in one place, and that's Skid Row. I call it Skid Hoes for you. Tap on that one, cash out later. She'll take one for the team. We'll talk about it later. Just don't let her hear about it. We'll speak about it, type of stuff. Just let her chill for a minute. She'll get it. She'll get with the program. You know what I mean? And I'm like, whatever. But by the end of the night or day, like I said, I'm the only one standing. G's up, hoes down. I've never switched. And, I run by myself. I stay by myself. I'd rather be alone than bad accompanied. And misery loves company, and that's why half of these men are alone in this world. And I'd rather be single, ready to mingle, than be, with somebody who's gonna put his hands on me and, lower my self-esteem, because as you can see, I dolled up, besides the running mascara. Speaking from the core, my feelings and all. It's been tough, but, on my unborn child, I'm just trying to get out the streets before I get hurt again. And that's all I ask for, just to get out the streets, for someone to actually keep me on my toes, some guidance, some support would be great. Because with the stuff that I've been through, like I said, standing over El Monte riverbed, just contemplating of throwing myself off a bridge. It's not cool,
Ariana, what would you say is the most important thing you've learned in your life, in your 29 years?
The most important thing that I learned is that my grandma, as my guardian, wasn't trying to be strict on purpose. She was just trying to save me from the big world. If it wasn't for me to go against her word and sneak out the house and stuff like that, I would have been inside the house, at home, not knowing what's out there, like the drugs, the party scene and all that. That would have waited till after school. I think I would have been fine. But since I sneaked off and smoked weed here, drank the beer here, got my tattoos on, behind my back type of stuff, I think I would have been fine. But curiosity kills the cat. And if anything, I would have been dead. It's just I just learned that the party scene is always going to be there. The drugs are always going to be there. Everything will always be the same. And the world is just going to keep on going round and round and round. And you're the one that's going to end up beat up, tore up inside, hurt emotionally and physically, Because I was 225 pounds 3 months ago. And I'm down to my 100s now. With appetite being gone, smoking bowls and stuff. It's just, I want to stop, but I kind of don't want to stop because I depend on the drug to cure my multiple diagnosis type of stuff. And I know that heroin's not for me because it gets my depressions going, and it's a sick joke. The come down is disgusting. So I just stick to crystal meth and crystal meth only. But hopefully if I get myself right, I'll be in a program soon. And yeah, for all those people that were asking for a follow-up, here you guys have it. I'll be fine, I'm still who I am, just a little bit more serious now and not the, fun, jolly girl that was, taking everything as a joke.
Do more on the new Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra with Google Maps. for a new place to play. And with the 200 megapixel camera, your good boy never looks so good. Find great savings on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra at EE.
Hey man, have you ever tried World of Tanks?
No, why?
I got this game in my...
All right, Dominic. Yes. Dominic, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Originally from West Virginia.
What part?
Berkeley Springs. We had a house up there. My mom, my dad. My dad was handicapped, fully handicapped. He had one whole side of his body paralyzed. My mom was the main supporter in our family. She was a cook for a restaurant named Coufant in West Virginia. She
is this Western West Virginia?
Near Berkeley Springs, Winchester, past that area. It's DC area, basically.
Oh, DC, okay.
Yeah, going past DC and West Virginia area.
The other part of the state.
Yeah, other part of the state. And we, mainly as kids, we grew up as poor people. We grew up as our neighborhood would give us food. It was pretty embarrassing. We had a bunch of friends that would bring us food. My uncle would bring us food, bring us toys, and when we seen him, we knew he was getting ready to have some toys or clothes, shoes, and you know, we just kind of grew up as kids in West Virginia, and it was a rough time, but we kind of got through it and started growing up. After we had moved from West Virginia because my mother couldn't afford to keep the house, we moved to Fairfax, Virginia. There, my brother, older half stepbrother, moved in with us. His name was Porky. We called him William Neal. He had another father. He had the same mother, and we grew up with him. Being my brother. And
you called him Porky, or you called him William?
Yeah, I called him Porky. His friends called him Porky. He kind of chubby a little bit.
That's a hell of a nickname.
Yeah. It's I think he got that from Henry's Record Service out there in Fairfax. Gave him the name because he ate all the time, and you know, then he started growing up. We smoked a lot of weed back in the day, and my brother ended up, you know, getting me into smoking weed, and we started smoking weed from there. And then kind of one night, my brother called me up to his little place that he had built on the own property, and he had some cocaine, and started snorting it, and you know, days went through, and then he finally offered me some, and I kind of took it. So I was snorting cocaine at 14 years old.
You feel like weed was a gateway?
Huh?
You feel like weed was a gateway for you?
Yeah, weed is a gateway drug. You know, the way they, you know, give out weed nowadays is just kind of ridiculous.
The way you open the door for weed is exactly the same way you open the door for cocaine.
Yes, and cocaine, but all the other drugs I never had a urge for. Cocaine is different. It is a drug that pulls you, but most people can't handle cocaine or crack or heroin, all that stuff. They go berserk. Me, I can do cocaine, have money in my pocket, and go home and still have money in my pocket the next day. So mainly did cocaine and started smoking crack at the age of 16. And that's when my brother found out that it was being cooked. And so he kind of got me smoking crack as well. I love my brother, but you know, he was sort of a bad influence on me. Wasn't any kind of, you know, hurtful person. You know, he was always caring and stuff like that, but he did a lot of drugs. You know, so from there, my dad had passed away. I went to prison at like age of 19, and it was for a gun charge that I'd had. I was drunk one night and fired a SKS in Fairfax City, and that was kind of the wrong thing to do. They SWAT teamed the whole area, found where the gunshots were coming from. Wasn't shooting at nobody, but I was just drunk and up late, and somebody knocked on the door. They didn't want to say who it was, so I opened the door with a gun in my hand, like an idiot. I was so drunk that I fired the gun up in the air and almost hurt my sister. That was out the front door. The shells were ejecting from the gun and hit her in the face because I was not knowing what I was doing. But went to prison for that, did 5 years, almost 6 years off that. And then I got my second gun charge. After that, probably 3 years after that, it was my buddy's gun, and we were shooting old computer screens on a military base because he had military clearance to go in there and go to the gun range. So we decided to go to the gun range one day, and of course the gun range was packed so full that every military person in the world was there, firing their weapons and testing them and practicing and stuff like that. So we went to an old area in the neighborhood, and we got beer and we were sitting there drinking. So we decided to shoot computer screens. So he had a little 22 shot gun, little 8-shot 22. We start shooting computer screens. Next thing we know, we see a military guy was in the next field, and he was flying his little model airplane over us and kind of diving into us to, I guess, to make us leave. I don't know what he was doing, but he was in the next field. And so after the second time that he had aimed his little plane at us, I took a shot at his plane, his little remote control plane. And I ended up hitting it. It crashed to the ground. Not 5 minutes later, 20 military police came down on us, dogs, kind of arrested us, gave us 21 charges before we got back to the barracks. Ended up costing my buddy a lot of money, over $60,000 to get out of it. Of course, nowadays you can pay for just about anything. So, you know, if you got enough money, you can pay anything, anybody to do whatever you want in this country. You know, then from there, I went to prison again for the second charge. Never really went to school. I was a kind of a person who never liked to read. I was a bad reader, still am. I grew up kind of hoping that I could read and get better reading. And I've tried in my lifetime to read a book and sit back and try to enjoy life, but life is not easy nowadays. So it kind of messed me up in the head, you know, not mentally or anything, just kind of a thing that you live with. And so I started, after I kind of got out of prison, I started to, you know, try to behave and do the right thing. I got me a job in construction, driving heavy equipment. Then I started seeing girls and all this good stuff, and had a girlfriend, and her name was Jackie, beautiful little Asian girl. And I loved her for a long time, and then her brother was real racist and did not like white people dating a Korean woman. And so one night he had split my head open with a brick. And I've got the scar here to prove it. He had come over the corner of the wall and just hit me dead blind in the back of the head, on top of the head, with a brick. and it almost killed me. I was down in a ditch, and I had to crawl up to the main road to get help. I crawled up to the main road and passed out. Police found me. Late at night after that, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning when they found me. Blood all over me, down my clothes. He took my wallet, all my shoes that he took. He took my shoes. He took just about everything I had. Had a little bag. He took that. So I ended up in the hospital, and my mother was real upset with this. Of course, she was the only supporter of our family. She supported us her whole life.
What happened to your girlfriend's brother?
Well, he ended up going to jail that evening. It was the next day actually, and he ended up going to jail. And his mother had owned a restaurant out in Maryland, Virginia, Maryland area, and she liked me, and she liked that I was dating Jackie. She came down to the hospital real quick, got Jackie, and they both came to the hospital. Of course, my mother was there. My mother wanted nothing to do with him. Didn't want him to come in the hospital, didn't want him to come in my room. I was still unconscious at the time because they had given me a bunch of medication to soothe the pain and stuff like that. So when I finally woke up, like a day and a half later, the doctor had come in and told me that my skull was fractured, completely fractured, completely broken apart up top, and that they had to put bone or whatever they put in my head, and to kind of make it go back together. They had my head all wrapped up, and they had shaved part of my hair, but Unson went to jail that day, and when he went to jail, his mother didn't know he was in jail for assaulting me, trying to kill me. And when they finally found out that he was in jail, of course they bonded him out. It was a real high, like $1 million bond they'd put him on. Of course, his mother had the restaurant, so she put the restaurant up for, his bail, and he was going to go to court anyway because he was his mom bought him a car, bought him a motorcycle. He was the older person in the family, so ended up, my mother finally let Jackie in. And Jackie was crying and, real upset about it. And so her mother come in finally, and we were talking. My mom was steady cussing her out, calling her a murderer and a killer and trying to kill her son, which is me. And so we ended up, the cops had come in, and they were going to ask me if I wanted to press charges against Unson. Well, the district attorney had already picked it up, and they were pressing charges anyway. So they ended up pressing charges. His mom lost the restaurant because of the lawsuit and the injury to me. Unson got out of jail. They paid so much money. It's like $600,000 to get him out of jail, to keep him out of jail. I ended up getting a settlement from them, and it went from there. Me and Jackie had broke up, and my mom told her that she couldn't come back on the property. She wasn't allowed back on our property at all, and she told me that I couldn't date her no more. And that was about it for that. After Jackie, I was working, and I had met another Korean girl, which I still love to this day. Her name was Misu. And we were real good together. She was a beautiful woman, real outspoken, but she had a money problem. She loved money, loved it. I did a lot of work, construction work. I never received a paycheck. She would always get my paycheck. I I would get $100 out of a $1,000 paycheck. So I stuck with that for a long time. Me and Masu had a lot of arguments. I had a lot of contracts that I was doing tree work, and she messed up a $15,000 contract for me one time. It was for tree trimming in Virginia, and we had all the stuff, but she kept pulling up into the lane trying to get money. The check for every 2 weeks we got paid, it was 15,000 we were getting paid for every 2 weeks for tree trimming along Virginia area. And she had pulled in one time, and the boss told her, you know, you can't come in here, you can't be pulling your vehicle in here, this is a dangerous zone. If something drops on your car, you know, you could get hurt. And of course I come down out of the tree and told her, you know, what do you want? What are you doing here? Why are you here? She says, you got the check? It's like, wow, you know, you come down here to get a check, and I could have gave it to you when I got home. She didn't want to wait, so I ended up losing the contract. Before that, we had slept together, and I'm pretty sure that Masu had HIV, and this is how I contracted it, through a woman. And you know, I've been living with that horror all my life. It's painful, very painful. So you know.
You're on medication for it?
Yes, up here in Los Angeles, it's kind of hard to get medication anywhere because they tell you to get up, come here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and fill out this booklet of paperwork. And you know, it's hard because you can't get up, you can't because you don't have the time up here. People that are homeless up here do not really carry cell phones. They carry them, but they destroy them, or they don't care about getting up trying to find work. Me, I'm different. I like to work. I'm interested in getting a job up here, interested in seeing the world.
What made you come to Los Angeles?
Huh?
What made you come to LA?
Well, I was here before, and the money is higher up here as far as pay.
So is the cost of living though?
Yeah, it's you know, I have a driver's license right now. I have you know, Social Security card. I had a birth certificate, but it got mangled in my wallet. And this is what I'm waiting on right now to get further work. But right now I've been up here just kind of canning and trying to survive. But I've come up to Los Angeles mainly to try to get a better job. Virginia is limited on what jobs you can get because they're all gone. Virginia, there's hardly no work up there. Everybody's undercutting everybody. Everybody's, you know, doing work, mowing the grass for 5 times less than it usually is. And it just, Virginia wasn't working for me anymore. So I've been up here before, so I decided to come back here and try to make something better for myself.
Trying to rebuild your life.
Huh?
Trying to rebuild your life.
Trying to rebuild my life. Yes, that's exact words I was looking for.
But you're still in love with the second Korean woman?
Yeah, I will always love her because she was
taking all your money and giving you AIDS.
Yeah, she took all my money, but she was very, very nice woman when she wanted to be. I have bad anger issues, so, you know, I don't know what it is, but when you give somebody some money and then you don't get any of it back to do anything with, to buy cigarettes or buy a drink, even put gas in your vehicle, you know, you give her $1,000 in 1 week, she says, if you got no money, you have to walk to work. So I've never walked to work, but, you know, that's how.
It makes you fall in love with them.
Huh?
It makes you fall in love with them.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, I guess. You know, woman like that.
That's what the whole dominatrix
thing
is all about.
Yeah, I guess that's probably what it was about.
I don't think you're as weird as you appear.
But you know, we ended up ended up catching that problem from her, and by sex, and she you know, kind of left me and went somewhere where the money's better. I have a sister that I love dearly.
She never told you that she had HIV?
No. She never told me. She just.
You think she knew?
Was renting a house, and I actually rented a room from her one day, and I was come home from work, and I was all hot, sweaty. This is back in the day when I was a little younger, and I always wore my shirt off, and I was a lot more muscular than I am now, and her room was right here, and my room was here. So I walked up to my room to put the key in, and I looked over, and she has a big mirror in her room. So I'm looking over, and she's standing in her shower, in her bathroom, naked. And I almost couldn't take my eyes off her because she was so beautiful. And then that night, she knocked on my door and kind of just walked in and flipped her shoes off and jumped on my bed. That night we had sex, had a lot of sex, and we had sex for hours and days. I had a job laying pipe, and
yes, you did.
Yeah, and I was absent for 3 days. I run a piece of heavy equipment to get gravel and pipe, sewage pipe. And I come back in 3 days later, and my boss told me, he says, where you been? I told him, I said, Bud, I've been having the best sex of my life. He says, well, he said, the office wants to see you, and it's not good news. So I went into the office the same day, and he just told me, he says, you know, I can't have you not coming in, not showing up. I know sex is fun and good, but job is kind of more important right now. And I told him, I said, Bud, please don't fire me. He's like, man, I gotta fire you. And he fired me. So I went home and I told her, I said, well, I got fired because we had sex for 3 days straight. And she says, oh, it's okay. It's okay. You find another job. So this lady had money. Masu had money when I first met her, and why she offered to buy me a Hummer when I first met her. And she had the money. Of course, I turned it down because I wasn't getting into all that. It was, you know, she says, oh, you look so good with a Hummer, driving a Hummer. It's like, it's just too expensive. So I ended up buying an old ratty truck, and, you know.
So she offered to buy you a truck?
Yeah, she offered to buy me a brand new Hummer back in the day, about 10 years ago, but yeah.
So she's not all bad?
No, she wasn't all bad.
But she didn't tell you that she had
Yeah,
HIV.
her mother was a real nice lady. Her family was nice. They used to, you know, take me out to eat, take me to drink. You know, they never liked me smoking weed around them. Masu never liked me smoking weed around her either. But I smoked weed around her. Her brothers loved me. Even the youngest one ended up smoking weed with me one day. We was out on a job site, and I told him that I had to go take a quick break. He's like, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna smoke me a little weed. And because I work better when I smoke a little weed, I get moving pretty fast. We were doing siding at the time. Me as a tape measure, using a tape measure was hard for me because I really had problems trying to measure. But he ended up smoking weed with me that day in the truck. His sister found out, my girlfriend, she found out that I gave him weed. And that day, she had took my whole stash and threw it in the trash because she didn't want me smoking weed with her brothers. And she didn't want her brother smoking weed at all. So she took my bong, my bowls, all my stuff that I had to smoke weed with, took it and threw it in the trash, and pretty much destroyed it. So after Masu...
Something about a hard-headed woman.
Yeah, a real hard-headed woman. After Masu, We had broken up, blah, blah, blah. I had met a girl named Tina, and Tina now lives in Florida. She has my son. His name is Dominic as well. Never seen him that much. She has turned him against me, told him I was a bad guy, and you know, that I basically didn't deserve to see him, that I wasn't around. It's kind of hard when you move to Florida and you're in Virginia and you have no transportation, no way to see your son, no way to be a father. I've never got that chance in my life. She took him to Florida, and I ain't seen him since. And if you're watching, Tina, you're a bitch. I want to see my son. So, you know, it was a hard life. It's been a hard life. A lot of hard lives, you know. I've seen stuff out here in Los Angeles that amazes me. Like the city of Los Angeles, they're hurting the homeless people here, hurting them. They think giving them pipes and bubbles and stems and all that stuff is good for them. Well, it's not. Whoever runs this city is an idiot.
How old are you now?
I am 48.
48.
Now.
And you've been here how long?
In Los Angeles? A little over like 2 months, going on 2 months now. I'm trying to get work. There is work out here. I've been listening to a lot of conversations out here. Just sweeping trash out here, you can make up to $20 an hour. You know, a lot of people out here, they don't do their jobs out here as far as cleaning the streets up. They sit around, smoke weed, laugh and play with each other. They're out there to make money. They're to work. They're not working. They are gallivanting around, smoking their little weed, talking to their little friends on their cell phones all the times. Me, I'm a different kind of person. I don't even have a cell phone. I don't even like cell phones. I've broken so many in my life just because they're annoying. Like I said, I have an anger issue. That's one of the reasons why I broke so many cell phones. If it doesn't work right for me, I kind of either get rid of it or destroy it or something like that. But you know, my life's been okay. Hopefully sometime soon I'll get a birth certificate from my sister. Hopefully she'll do it for me. And she didn't like me when I left Virginia because we had gotten in an argument. And you know, I owed some people some money, and I do want to pay them. But right now I'm struggling, so I don't have any money to spare. And I know I've been a mooch on my family, so this is one of the other reasons why I moved out here.
What's your biggest regret in your life?
Huh?
What's your biggest regret in your life?
My biggest regret is not listening to the people who back in the day were telling me to act right, to do what they're doing now. Sitting back, relaxing with a comfortable job, having somebody who loves you 24/7. It hurts, you know. A lot of people out here in Los Angeles, they talk to themselves. It's because they're not loved, and because they don't have nobody to talk to. I kind of grew up, my dad was handicapped, like I said, and you know, he couldn't really talk to you in conversation, but he could say hello, hi, I love you, all that good stuff. My dad was a beautiful man. My mom, she was always tired. She wasn't cooking and cleaning for us. She was cooking, cleaning for somebody else. But yeah, my biggest regret is not listening to the people back in the day that told me to do the right thing and to do it now. It's not too late now, but I'm still going to try. I'm still going to try to get money in my pocket, a place to live. I am getting older, and you know, me not taking my medication at the right times, or even taking my medication, does hurt me. So I'm trying to do all that, trying to get everything straightened out.
Medication for what?
It's for the HIV.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah, it's called Biktarvy. It's
How does it affect you if you don't take it?
well, I don't know. I just don't know. I know it makes your T cells go down. You know, they don't have the technology or the knowledge to give to all the people. They don't have that. You know, they're not out preaching that. They are out preaching for, you know, for